Meeting November 6, 2017, Mayor and City Council meeting in order. At this time, if you'll rise for the pledge, led by me, and the invocation, please remain standing for the invocation by Mr. Jim Triplett. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and we thank you, God, for all the many blessings that you've given us. We thank you, Lord, for our city, our community. Lord, we just lift up our mayor and council to you tonight as they debate and conduct the city's business. Lord, we ask you to give them wisdom, guidance, and direction. We pray that everything in this meeting, Lord, that would be done and said would be acceptable to you and pleasing in your sight. Father, we lift up the community in Texas, Lord, that suffered the shooting yesterday at the church. We ask you to be with that community. God, we ask you to comfort, we ask you to strengthen and heal, Lord. And Father, we lift up these things and ask in your name, amen.
This time we'll go down to item number 4, citizens' comments. If you have something to bring before this body, if you'll please come to the podium and state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is General Barry Dalton. That is a foreign general, unfortunately, Royal Air Force. However, I'm not here to talk military or politics. I'm here because I want to make a donation to the city. I live, by the way, outside the city limits, just inside the county, on Tony Drive, number 150. I used to have, a few weeks ago, in my backyard, a beautiful garden railroad. And I have a book of illustrations here that anybody can look at. I used to open it to the public and take donations to raise funds for the Kiwanis Club. That's the Golden K Kiwanis Club. And that's evidenced here in a newspaper article. However, a couple of weeks ago, some of my kids, I call them, came to visit. And, you know, when kids get into their 60s and some of them in their 70s, you have to watch them. They're worse than when they're 2. And because I asked them to clean up the railroad. It needed some weeding and stuff like that. And they did it willingly. Unfortunately, I was distracted for a couple of days, and when I got back into the fray, I found that they had completely dismantled the railroad, even upending all the concrete foundations and everything. So my backyard now looks like a war zone with concrete blocks and chunks of concrete all over the place. However, the railroad was beautiful. It was a model village. It had an airport. It had running rivers. It had marinas, it had churches, it had village, it had everything. And unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore except as a bunch of many boxes full of stuff. Now, my investment on that railroad was about $10,000. So it was quite a disaster when it was torn down. However, I feel it needs to be used, and I wish to donate it to the city, to be used anywhere it can be used, with a proviso that it is set up and utilized. I'm willing to donate the time and the energy to design a layout that would fit wherever you would like to have it. We'd need between 400 and 800 square feet, by the way, depending on how much was available to put this together, because we'd need to build a table-high trestle to have it so it was visible for everybody to see without being walked on. And as I say, I'm willing to donate the materials and all my time. That's the railroad materials, not the lumber and stuff required. And there may be a little extra expenditure because I haven't examined everything that was taken up from my ground. Probably some of the track and switches or something like that were damaged, which might need to be replaced. But that would just be probably $200 or $300 maximum. Anyway, my offer is there. I'll donate the whole shebang, and I will also design and also oversee the construction of the railroad platform. It's the system and everything else, and I can probably even find volunteers to work on it. So that's my offer. It's up to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Anybody got any questions for Barry?
I do. Sir, right here, Gerald Burt, in front of you. Hi. Have you met Jay and Cindy Kane at all?
I know.
You do know Jay?
I know him well. Yes.
Oh, yes. He has an
I've seen
incredible
his.
train.
He has an indoor system up
Yes,
in
sir.
Hackett. Yeah, I know him well. Yeah.
Well, your train is an outdoor train, right?
It's outdoor, yes.
Huh.
But outdoor or indoor. I mean, it's an all-weather system. You can run it during the snow, the pouring rain, whatever.
That's pretty neat. I know when I was a kid, J. Carl Drug Shop had a train. I don't know if anybody can remember that, but there was a train inside J. Carl Drug Shop that went around the perimeter of the building. I think it would be pretty neat to maybe get that in the depot and let it run around the depot. Maybe.
Well, it's possible, but I'm whatever would work for you gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
I'm willing to help and donate the equipment. Those two locomotives are just samples. Actually, altogether there are 10 locomotives, 10 or 11, maybe 12 locomotives, and dozens of rolling stock rail cars and stuff like that. So excuse me? Not for sale. I'm donating to the city. Excuse me?
They look like that. They look like that. I thought you were talking about a bigger train.
Now that's the size. That's the actual size.
And the one at J. Carl was actually suspended from the ceiling. It went around the ceiling and it smoked, and it was really neat.
Yeah, but not very realistic. I like it to look real,
Right.
small.
Yes, sir. That's neat. I like it.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. To the mayor and the councilman, I'm known as Annette Johnson here in town. I am here to ask your assistance in honoring my great uncle, who was Carrollton's very first black doctor here at Tanner Memorial. Dr. Samuel D. Thomas. He was born July 17th in 1882. He was a graduate of Ridgeway High School in Ridgeway in South Carolina. He attended Benedict High School, and he attended Meharry College in Columbia, South Carolina. He graduated from Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. He did his post-op graduate work at St. Andrews in Tuskegee, Alabama, and he found his way here to Carrollton, Georgia, where he was welcomed as a full member at Tanner Hospital. What is so remarkable about him is that Tanner welcomed him when the metropolitan Atlanta area had not opened its doors to colored doctors at that time. what's so remarkable again about Carrollton is they were busy trying to grow their hospital when other areas were still blocking colored doctors. In the meantime, we have also discovered that while Tanner was busy being a growing community, we've also discovered that my great uncle is actually the first African American doctor in the entire state of Georgia because Tanner was so gracious about receiving him. We would like to ask your support, and I've reached out to Senator Dugan, if we could possibly get you all to support us in naming a highway here in Carrollton after him, particularly the area that starts right at the Trojan intersection here, right at the Walgreens, Highway 27 going southbound down toward the bypass, I believe, in that area, in that corridor. I've already reached out to Senator Dugan. I haven't gotten a response back because it's just been a week ago. So I'm sure he hasn't had time to look over my email, but I did get a chance to talk with Miss Betty, who's a very nice lady. And I just wanted to present this request to you all tonight so that you would know I did reach out to him, and I would hope that you all would support this. He was such an exceptional man. I just want to read this one little passage here in the book that Mr. Ben L. Moon wrote about a community of caring, which is a book that Tanner has, A History of Tanner Medical Center. And it says about my great uncle, Dr. Samuel D. Thomas was among the vanguard of doctors at Tanner Memorial. He served patients of all races and delivered as many as 7 babies in 7 different homes, all in one day. He was known for his integrity and his skill. Everyone loved Dr. Thomas. The amiable man was built like a stocky weightlifter with massive shoulders, a thick, powerful neck, and huge, gentle, deft hands. Without fanfare, long before even Atlanta integrated its medical society, Carrollton, Douglas Harrelson Medical Society voluntarily and wholeheartedly accepted him as a full-fledged member. And I'm hoping today that you all will continue in that spirit. And again, I am very proud to be a member of this family because you are also looking at Carrollton's first Black homecoming queen. I am proud to be the homecoming queen of Carrollton High School, the very first, and very proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
I had a question too, Walt. Yes, this question would be for Tim and for Chuck as well. Would we have to get this on the agenda of the next meeting, which I'm voting in favor of, would we have to seek permission from the state, or do we do it here locally ourselves? And we're speaking honorarily naming that strip of the highway, just as we did Charlie Hammett and Chick Allman.
Yeah, it'll take DOT approval to do this.
Okay.
So if you like, we'll research that for you and have you some information before the next meeting.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And I'm in full support of this, so thank you very much. I saved your number in my phone as Annette Homecoming Queen, so yes, you are the homecoming queen. So congratulations.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. Grizzard. For people that don't know me, my name's Bill Messer. I'm the B-shift captain at the fire department. And I felt the need to come up here and say a few things tonight. I started with the fire department in '91. I came here when it was an interesting time. New policies and procedures were being put into place. Millions of dollars of equipment was purchased. And the fire department we have today is a result of all those efforts. I'm very proud of that fire department, and I'm very proud to play a very small part in its forming. A few months ago, allegations were made against the fire department. A private company was assigned to assess those allegations, and they made recommendations. Chief Bearden took those recommendations and he put a dollar value to those recommendations, and you folks are set to review that tonight. And that's good. One thing that bothered me about the whole thing, though, is the assumption was left that Chief Bearden, forgive me,
Yeah.
Chief Bearden and the command staff don't care about those firemen. That assumption was put out there, and that must be defended. Chief Bearden, I've worked with him my whole career, and he's dedicated to this city. He's an honorable, loyal person. He loves his city, and he loves his fire department. And to place that accusation out there is something that's just not right. You know, our firemen, they have ample equipment. We see that they have gloves and hoods and helmets. We have a policy that rotates their turnout gear through on a regular basis. We have their air AC equipment checked and certified every year. You know, we do everything in our power to take care of them. Now, I'll have to admit, at shift change, I don't hug their neck and kiss them on the forehead, but I do appreciate them. I understand the sacrifices that they make. And the fact, as a captain, when you stand out in the front yard and you're in charge and you make directions, men follow those directions, and they make what you envision happen. And I just didn't think that was right, that we were left with that, because we work hard for that not to happen. I don't know what will happen tonight. You're good people, and this city's been good to me and been good to the department. What I would like to see happen is that we be allowed to return to managing our resources and serving the public. Not have to wander around, not have to wonder what accusation is going to fall next. What do we have to spend all our precious time defending? And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you very much.
Mayor Hollingsworth, Mr. Messer, I would like to address that. First of all, I can only defend myself up here, but those accusations were made against the mayor and well, at least the council and mayor as well. But let me say this too. There's a process and a protocol for bringing things before our attention. We have a budget meeting every year, and I myself initiated the budget retreat, where we go outside of the county and we meet for, how many hours a day do we meet, Tim? About 12 hours a day?
Too many, I don't know that.
Yeah, we were meeting about 12 hours a day, and every department head was able to bring anything on their wish list that their staff made as a recommendation to them. And we were all open. Nobody debated or fought any department head. So these things came to me as a shock when we came back from the retreat. I wish we had heard those things at the retreat. And I just wanted to say that. And then I wanted to say this too. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now that we've addressed the issues of the fire department, and I want you to know I stand behind all of you wholeheartedly. And I appreciate every single thing that you do every single day and putting your lives on the line for all of us. This city wouldn't operate without a fire department. So I thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. But let's not forget the police department as well, because I'm sure they have some needs and wants that they need to bring to the forefront as well. But in the future, let's use that retreat for the purpose in which it was designed, and that's to bring the needs of departments to us. Mike, I'm sure you have some needs, and Mr. Holland and everybody else. But let's use that retreat for which it was designed to bring to our attention the things that you need us to use taxpayer dollars for. And any other issues that may be plaguing your department, bring those to us that day and let us see. Is the word hash them out? And we'll hash them out and figure out what we'll pay for and what we can pay for. I like when businesses run that way because it's much more smoothly and less obtrusive than what has happened here this past budget year. So let's work to follow protocol and order this approaching budget year.
And I understand that.
Yes, sir. And I'm not saying that to you. I'm just saying that to everybody.
I understand. You know, like I said, I worked for Chief Bearden a long time, and I'm old school.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's not natural for me to stand up here. Chief Bearden's the voice of the fire department.
Yes.
He speaks for the fire department. As his captain, him and I, he'll consult with me and he'll ask what I think and I'll give him my opinion. But when it's all said and done, he's the boss, he's the final word, and we carry that out. One thing that's very important to Chief Bearden is that he's not going to come and ask for the sun and the moon and the stars. But when he sits down with Mr. Grizzard and needs something, it's very important to him that it's a genuine need. It's not, it's not a made-up something. And I think maintaining that relationship with the council and Mr. Grizzard is vitally important. When Chief Bearden says we need something, we really need it. And y'all have always come through, no doubt about it. So I hope that answered your question.
Well, I think in order to avoid that communication bump, I'm just going to be nice about it and call it
Sure,
a communication bump that's been going on around here. I think the best thing the department heads can do is communicate those things to Tim. Then Tim will relay those things to us. And I know it's elementary to talk about that, and every department head should know that, but that's how the city is run. And I think things are much smoother that way, and I pray that that's the protocol we'll follow henceforth.
I agree.
Which we've done for the past 16 years that I've been here, and probably since the beginning of time. Order is
You
important.
improved a lot of the equipment that we have today.
Yes, sir.
I mean, a lot of that new equipment and the personnel were approved by you, and it's much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
One point I'd like to make along that line is we posted, we take safety very, very seriously. And just to make sure there was always an avenue to get safety issues to me, Tony Richardson is our safety manager, Faith Pullen is our HR manager, and we posted both of their numbers and my number on every bulletin board in this city, and it was sent to every employee so that they have a safety issue. If they feel like it's not being handled, it'll get to us so that these issues don't wind up in this room again, because like you said, it's very
Or in the streets, which is also not a good thing.
very disruptive. So we wanted to make sure that communication chain was open.
Yes, sir.
My name is Lieutenant Bill Lambert. I've been a veteran of the Carrollton Fire Department for 20 years now. I was born and raised in Carrollton. My mom, my dad both went to Carrollton High School. After graduation, they both went to West Georgia College. My roots run very deep in this community. I am, after a 5-year being away at a northern university, I received a Bachelor's of Science degree, and I moved back home. I came back to Carrollton. This is the area that I want to stay in. Through a winding path, I found myself employed at the City of Carrollton Fire Department. After 20 years, I can truly tell you I still love my job. I've seen a lot of changes in the department since I've been here. They have not all been overnight, as with any government agency, but they have always been progressing forward. Our recent ISO rating of a Class 1 is a great example of that. We have top equipment. We have top apparatus. I have never worried about safety with my equipment for my personnel. We have always been taken care of. We have had great support from the citizens and this local government, and I cannot thank y'all enough for all that y'all have done for us. There are departments everywhere in the state that would love to have the personnel numbers and the equipment that we do. I'm also a fire investigator, and I get to do training with departments all over the world, and so I'm very familiar with other departments. We are a very blessed department for the support that we have. We are very involved in our community, as we should be, through public events, through fire safety programs at our schools every year, through pre-fire planning of our local businesses. We have reduced the number of fires in our area. We have reduced the number of related injuries in the community because of our presence. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here for. We're here for the community. Our job has changed. We no longer run as many fires or fire alarms. Much of it is now medical calls. Some of it could be more considered counseling calls when we That's our job. That's what we do. Chief Jim Bearden has been my supervising officer since I started here at Carrollton, as my captain and currently as my chief. I've got to know him personally. I can tell you he is a dedicated and caring individual who wants nothing more than to see the department progress and while being a good steward of the citizens' interest and their trust. I'm very proud to stand here and tell you that I am a member of the Carrollton Fire Department. Even more than that, I can tell you that I count myself extremely fortunate to work with the most dedicated, the most capable, and professional group of men that you will find anywhere in the state or in the country. And I just wanted to come here and say that we do appreciate all that y'all have done. We appreciate the community, and we are here to serve. That's what we are here for. And I thank you for your time.
How y'all doing tonight? Good.
Good, Al.
My name is Al Jones. Been with the Carrollton Fire Department for 27 years. I have seen change, a lot of change. Bill has said everything that was needed to say. Captain Mercer has too. And I'm not politically correct because West Side, born and raised. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm just going to break it down to you easy. Chief Bearden, before he became fire chief, he was my lieutenant. He stayed up at night teaching me how to do reports. I didn't know nothing about the Carrollton Fire Department when I got hired. The way I got hired at the Carrollton Fire Department is the old city manager, Douglas Carrollton, was walking behind the water department. I'll never forget it. I was on top of the water thing, cleaning the dock off, and I sprayed water. I sprayed mud and everything on him. That little hair just went all up in the wind. He screamed, "Boy, get down here now." And he told Lewis Mason he better not ever catch me around that water hose again. So later on after that, Billy Waldrop said they had an opening at the Carrollton Fire Department. He got me on at the Carrollton Fire Department. Also said, "I remember you." He said, "You ought to enjoy playing with a water hose." So, Chief Bearden stayed up constantly at night teaching me how to do reports. Now, you talking about a kid from the projects, never drove a fire truck, never drove a fire truck. This man took me out on the weekend. We stayed up 11, 12 o'clock. You can ask Captain Mercer. When I went to bed, the only thing I had in my head was beat, because I couldn't back up. I could go forward, but I could never back it up in the station. But he made sure before the end of the month I was driving the truck. He checked me off. He's been good to me. I ain't got no reason to say that. You know, people that came in and started all this back in July, people at Carroll County. I can't call no names because I don't know their name. But if you send a black man out there at Carroll County to be a leader, that is not going to happen. You can say it happened, that you can hire 2 or 3 blacks out there, they do not respect the black man out there. I have never had that problem with the Carrollton Fire Department. If I did, it was taken care of by one of the supervisors on duty. We weren't allowed to come to the city council meeting and talk like we talking now. That was a no-no. Crossing would send you to the house. He didn't care about the city council not approving it. You go home. I know the world has changed, and I wished that Tim Grizzly could go and start running the city like he was. You and the mayor. I can call the city council and tell them I got a problem. That's not right. I can't go, if I worked at Southwide, I can't call Roger Richards and say, "Hey, I got a problem tonight. Can you do something about this?" I can't do that. You need to let the fire department, the police chief run their departments like they should. And when it come down, they all had to vote on what's going on. That's good. That's all said and good. But at the end of the day, we have lost the fire department. It's lost. And I hope that you will let Chief Bearden continue to run the fire department. Like, he's been doing a great job. I mean, Mr. Grizzly has helped us. You came by and investigated, Walt. What did you find? Did you find anything wrong with it? We crying about because we ain't got no wash and dry to wash the gear.
Nope.
I've been washing my gear outside, drying it, using other folks' gear. But that ain't the right way no more. But we've been doing it for 27 years. And I know times has changed. Them days over with. But they crying about they want Nomex uniforms. I want a Nomex uniform too, Walt. I like to get up in the morning and just put my uniform on and come to work. But you can't do that because it's a process. You need to put your uniform on, iron it, put your equipment on it, your name tag and all that. They don't got too lazy because we let them get lazy. You're dealing with men, but we act like kids sometimes. If you give us what we want, we're gonna ask for more. Believe that. If you give us everything we want more. And Tim, y'all have been good to us. I have no problem with that. But we have let the outsiders come in and take over our department. So I hope y'all look back, and I hope you get in your truck tonight, tomorrow. All of y'all. Ride at Carroll County and see how many black firemen you see out there. Check it out. I guarantee you won't find over 5 out there. I promise you that. And you won't find out now lieutenant out there. You won't go out there and find a lieutenant, a captain, nothing like that out there. No department head, because they don't allow that. And I have brought guys into the city, black guys, try to get on the Carrollton Fire Department. They can't because of the record. And the only reason I ain't got a bad record because I had people like Barry Carroll, Tony Johnson, Mr. Williams. He would sit us down and talk to us. When the kid get, like Gerald, take for instance. Yeah, Gerald helped the small kids out. But when they get 13, 14, 15, who helped them out? We have nobody to help them out. We have no more Mr. Williams, Barry Carroll, Tony Johnson. We have no more guys like that to help us come out the west side area. Them guys are gone. And I fought myself for it because I left the area. I should have stayed in the area and tried to talk to the kids coming up. So it's just my fault. It's anybody else's fault. But I got a good job, good fire chief. I wouldn't tell him to his face I love him because I tell him I can't stand him. But other than that, he's been good to me. I've been rolled up. You can check it. I mean, it's a pecking order that we go through. If you can't follow the rules, you don't need to work at the Carrollton Fire Department. Now, I ain't going to tell y'all that, but anyway, it's a pecking order you have to go through. And if you got a problem, I should be able to go to my captain and say, hey, I got a problem. And he'll call that man in there and we'll sit down and we'll hash it out. When they come to y'all, that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair to him and the rest of us guys. Because now we got to start back over and build from the ground back up. That's all I have to say.
Al, may I ask you a question while you're right there, if it's okay? Are you satisfied? And thank you for the wonderful things you said too, but and for bringing some things to our attention. But are you satisfied with the changes that we're about to make and the purchases that we made, based on the information from the audit and based on the information from those outsiders that to use your terminology?
I mean, it's stuff that we need. We need stuff. I have no problem with that. I just don't like the way it came about. You should have gave the man a chance to bring it to y'all, not outsiders coming into the department.
Yes, sir.
Down. And see, the ones that tore it down and came in are gone now. They did what they wanted to do to destroy, and they done it. And out of this whole process, not naming nobody, y'all have aided Chief Bearden over 5 years. I mean, he takes this home with him at night, worrying about what's going to happen to him.
I agree.
And Poe, and I know Walt, I know they calling your house telling you what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, city manager, how many emails you don't got?
A lot.
And the people that email you don't even work here no more.
Well, let me say this too, Al. As the leadership of this city, I want you and all the firefighters to know that I hear you saying that things are destroyed and things are broken down, but as leaders, we're here to help you build it back up, all right? And to boost your morale and offer you and do anything for you that we can to support you. And I mean that coming from Council Member Gerald Byrd. I don't know about the rest of the council up here, but knowing them the way I do, I'm pretty much sure they're going to stand behind you too. All right?
So. All I ask is get Chief Bearden back his fire department. Let him run his fire department like he's been running. He's a good man. I mean, you're going to have to follow orders. If you can't follow orders, you need to find you another job.
Yes.
And that including me. If I can't do what the man tell me to do, I need to move on.
He's done a fantastic job while I've been here, so I applaud you, Chief Bearden.
I mean, it's a growing up process, and I had
sir.
to take that process to grow up.
I have another question for you, not really a question, but a suggestion to you. You talked about Mr. Byrd helping young children, and I'm pretty much tapped out in helping everybody. It's a big job. I think the person that you're looking for to go around and talk to the children and encourage them to stay on the right path and to find their career path and believe in their dreams is standing before us right now. That's you. You go do it.
I mean, I have no problem with that.
Who else is going to do it? If not you, who?
Well, you got the gym sitting over there. It's not doing that.
Go make it
That's where I
happen.
learned everything from that West Side.
Yes,
gym
sir.
over there.
And you're a great role model. You're the perfect person for the job, and I will support you in any way that I can. I mean that. So
I'll hold
thank
you
you,
to that.
Al.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Al.
Mayor, Council, City Administration. My name is Alan English. I've been a 22-and-a-half-year employee with the City of Carrollton Fire Department. Really, everything that I had to say, the guys before me have all said. I really just, one other thing, I do have a vested interest in the city. I don't live here, but both my daughters go to West Georgia College. One of them lives out here in the neighborhood of West Georgia College. So, you know, I have to stay on top of them, and I feel like I'm protecting them every day that I come to work. But I really just want to emphasize what a great chief Jimmy Bearden is. I've been with him ever since day one when I first started. And I think he is progressively guiding our department, making us better and better every single day. You know, the comments about some of the guys bringing things that we needed and maybe it should go through the work sessions and stuff like that. You know, the things that were brought up were things that maybe Chief Bearden or even I didn't think of that we needed. You know, the rubber boots that we have, I'm great with those. I have no problem using those. That was one of the things that was brought up. Everybody needs their own mask. Well, that's not something I care about. I've got a mask. I check it every time I come to work. I clean it every time I use it. I've never had a problem with that. So, you know, the chief and maybe even some of the other officers didn't foresee these things coming down the line. It was a kind of a surprise to them, you know. And times do change, just like Al said. You know, we wash your gear with a hose and a mop bucket and a brush. You know, that's how I've been washing my gear for 20-plus years. You know, and they've come out with these newfangled washer and dryers and that kind of stuff that you can use to clean your gear, and that would be nice to have. But that's a rather large investment for the city to make. You know, and I would be proud to have one of those. It would make our job easier to have one of those, but it has to be worked into the budget, you know. And so I'm not so ignorant to think that you can just throw that out there and get it immediately. That's something that came up, I think, a couple of years ago. Chief Bearden mentioned to me that they were trying to get grants to get some of these things. You know, and I don't know if we got turned down from it or whatever, but I know that those things are out there. I've always been proud to be a City of Carrollton Fire Department member. You know, I look forward to coming to work almost every single day. Never have hardly a bad day at all. I really love it. I really love helping the community, working with the community, associating with the community. And I want y'all to, you know, think about Chief Bearden, think about the good things that he's done and that he's doing, because he's one heck of a fire chief, in my opinion. And I don't think we would do any better with anybody else. So thank y'all.
Mayor and Council, my name is Troy Smith. I don't work for the City of Carrollton, but I do have I'm a retired 35-year firefighter in Gwinnett County. The Nomex uniforms, the washers, the mask for every employee, radios from every employee, whatever, I lived all that. That doesn't make the firefighter. Everything these guys said, they're here off duty because they have a vested interest. It's in their heart to work for the City of Carrollton. I've known Chief Bearden for many years, and every one of these guys I've known. What I want you to do is I want you to ride down your street, show me a burned out building. Show me a fire death. Show me when Carrollton makes the news with a major fire. Okay? That's not because they're lucky, because there's plenty of old buildings in this city. Okay? There are plenty of old buildings. That's because, like Lieutenant Lambert said, their public fire education, their building inspections. We had a major fire 2 years ago in the corner up here on the square. That in most cities, that would have been a catastrophic fire. Okay? These guys, Alan, Bill Messer, Billy House sitting on the back, Tracy, these guys are the core. These are the charter members. They're the core of the Carrollton Fire Department since we've all been around. It could be a lot worse. Yes. Okay? And like I believe it was Alan or Al said, these people that are up here complaining, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. I can think of 1,000 things that Carrollton Fire Department needs. I could tell you we need a helicopter for a woods fire. Is that practical?
Right.
Okay? You take the police chief, show me one case in the city of Carrollton. If people know, if you come to Carrollton and you break the law, you're going to get caught. It's just a matter of when they catch you. So we're talking about the fire department, but look at the police department too. Impeccable. Okay, so my point is this: gauge all this. We've got an ISO 1. We want this. We want that. How many burned out buildings we got? How many death benefits have y'all paid to a family because a firefighter got hurt or killed? You know why he didn't get hurt or killed? It's because of the training that they provide. It's the oversight that these captains and lieutenants have for their men. I used to do it. I'm not up here talking. I have nothing to gain by talking to y'all about this. But all this riffraff and talking, I did it for 35 years. I had a lot more fires every week than they do, and wish I hadn't. You have got a top-class fire department here. Okay? So ride down the street, show me a burned-out building, show me a death benefit that you're paying, show me some risk management that you're paying, show me a beat-up fire truck with the ladders falling off of it, and then you've got a reason to have a complaint. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Troy.
Getting it out.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Deidre Rouse, and I just wanted to mention a little something about the fire department from a community perspective and not a complaint. Anytime that I've called Chief Bearden to help out with a community project, and I'm always calling, Village Youth Summit, he's always sending someone to help with the youth, the teens, anybody that I call for. Sometimes I haven't called as timely as I should, but he's made a way to do that. That's another way for our youth and people in the community to be able to see what a firefighter does, what it means in terms of fire safety, all of those different things, as this fireman just said, so we won't have some of those catastrophes and catastrophic events here in our county. So I'm just really grateful for when I call, and it's always asking for something free, but he is able to find a way to be able to do it. So I really do appreciate him and his team being able to do that.
Yay. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Good evening, council members. My name is Catherine. I live in Nazir Lane. I'm a homeowner there. Is Jim Waters here? Oh, good to see who you are. A year ago, I came with complaints about the garbage situation at Bristol Lakes. Excuse me. Since then, the bin has been changed. We have a bin now that is 2.5 times larger. But each month, we are charged an additional $10 for a work crew, absentee work crew, to come out there and pick up the debris that is outside of that bin. Now, I've been monitoring this for a whole year. I have been there when that bin has been picked up and it's piled so high with garbage. There's 194 units out there. It's so high that garbage and debris falls from that bin. I have seen the sheriff's work crew out there 2 times in a year, but yet each month we are assessed $10 for debris pickup. Now, I don't understand why everybody is being charged that $10 when there are monitors where the police can monitor. When I came in here the first time, I asked for a playground for the kids. There's a lot of kids out there. and I asked about the garbage situation. The garbage situation, a larger bin has been placed there. It's not large enough. Now, the monitors, it's right there. Like no further than that door to you, where the police can monitor and see who the culprits are. But there's been a lot of turnaround in the neighborhood. And a lot of people that were there when I moved in as a homeowner have moved out. Complaining about, I came in with 100+ petition people. At least 25% of those people complain, oh, I'm moving, I'm getting out of here. The city doesn't care about us. Now, I understand that Bristol Lakes has a bad rep because of the unfortunate death of Nazir Rodriguez. But other than changing the name from Chancery to Nazir Lane, there hasn't been much change out there. Lately, things are changing. New people are coming in. But you still have, unfortunately, there's not an HOA out there yet. But unfortunately, there are homeowners, absentee landlords, whatever. I'm saying a little bit too much. But what I'm here about is that bin is not big enough. We do have pickups on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The debris that is there in that area is because the truck comes in, one person driving the truck, they pick up the bin, they take it away, they bring it back empty. I have been right there. I made a video, but unfortunately, I don't have it with me. I'm prepared. I just grabbed my water bill and council member sheets to make it here. Debris is falling out of that bin, and nothing is being done to pick it up. And I have not seen the sheriff's work crew with their orange shirts out there except for twice last year. But we are being assessed $10 more. Additionally, we received a brush and debris removal schedule for July through December. Diagonally across from where I live, somebody put out a corner sectional sofa thing. A little further down, somebody put out 2 twin-size mattresses. That was in July. It was picked up finally October 30th. So I'm in the mindset of many others that have lived there for 6+ years that the city doesn't care about them. And had there been someone else to run against you, Mr. Do you pronounce your name Waters or is it Waters? Waters. I would have canvassed the area to try to get everybody to make sure that they were at the polls tomorrow to vote. But you don't have anybody running against you. And what we need is somebody like Mr. Byrd, who is very proactive, not just in his ward, but outside of it. We need somebody who is going to do their job. Basically, that is what I have to say. But I was looking at a message from someone right before I came to get here. And the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. That's a quote from Winston Churchill. And I seen it because it was my memory post for 4 years ago. And the fact of the matter is that in a community, a complex such as Bristol Lakes, which could really be a beautiful community, there's a lot of people just my mindset is such that I can't find my right words. If I was prepared to be here today, not rushing down here within 10, 15 minutes to get here, I would have had my words. Just like I pulled up that Winston Churchill quote because it was right in front of me, a memory from 4 years ago. But we need, Bristol Lakes is a part of this community. At least $50,000 in property taxes is coming out of there. For the county, I understand the city may only get a portion of that, but having paid my property taxes and all of the units are the same, I know that basically everybody is paying the same amount. So $50,000 coming out of there, and we're not getting anything. I had two guys came out 5, 6 days ago to turn on the electricity or whatever for unit 144. I'm in 150. They did it, I assume, and they left that cover off. I made a couple of calls, nothing was done. 2 days ago, I went and while I was picking up debris out of my yard, I picked the cover up and put it back on because there's a street light right in front of my unit, and the young kids congregate and play their pass footballs and whatever. And I think that that's a hazard. It could have proved to be a hazard to them. But anyway, like I said, we need somebody proactive like Mr. Byrd.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Can you wrap it up?
I just did.
Okay.
We need somebody proactive like Mr. Byrd.
Thank you very much.
And you're welcome. Thank you for dealing with me. And I've got to make my exit because I was painting. All right. Have a good evening.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, first off, Bristol Lakes is a very special situation. It is a privately owned development. There is no common area around it where we could put a park. Normally, the developer would install the park and donate it to the city. This would be a park at the city's expense. And again, we don't own that property. That property is owned by a third party. Actually, there's a small strip of land around all the units, and then more land outside that that are owned by two different parties. As you all know, you voted in the last meeting for the city to purchase 5 units in Bristol Lakes. We have those under contract. We're doing our due diligence. We plan to close on those in the next few days. We have 5 public safety officers lined up to move into those units. We're doing there what private apartments do. They move public safety officials in and let them have rent for free. We have some police officers that actually do that around this town, and that keeps the area more safe. So we've made a huge investment there. We're going to move those 5 officers in, and we hope that will clean that area up. As far as the claim that crews have not been out there, they've been out there every month. I know Mr. Green is here. We don't let debris lay months and months and months. The truck runs through there it runs through there twice a month, correct? 3 times a week. So mattresses and furniture, they get that 3 times a week. We write tickets. We have cameras in the area that we pay for. We don't put cameras in any other area. So there's a lot we do there just legally, and because the ownership of the property is a special circumstance. Normally an area like that would be owned by one owner, and that owner would police that, or an area like that would have a homeowners association. That area doesn't. So we are moving forward on everything we can possibly do to clean that up. But I think buying 5 units and moving 5 police officers in there rent-free is a big deal to try to clean that area up.
Is there anybody else that would like to address this council before we move on in the agenda? Anybody else? Seeing no hands, we will move ahead. Number 5, we need approval of the minutes for the previous meeting.
Mr. Mayor, before I vote to approve the minutes, I would like to make a clarification on the purchases at Bristol Lakes, to make a slight correction to what Tim just said. I voted in favor of those 5 purchases when we met the other day. I forget the specific calendar date. It was October 19th, right? And I like the idea of police officers living in the units, but I said that, and I'll reiterate that I'm more interested in addition to having police officers there, at least 2 of those units being occupied by people in human relations and human services, and clergy being there as well. So the whole thing is not run by police, but we have maybe a minister or maybe a counselor occupying 2 of those as well. So again, my vote the last time was to, and I'm sorry that there may be an oversight, but my vote the last time was to change the presentation and to amend it to say clergyman and or someone in human relations and human services. Right? Maybe someone from the Peace Corps or a counselor or a minister, just to reiterate. Thank you.
Mr. Byrd. Now, can I get a motion on the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes with the aforementioned additions from Council Member Byrd as mentioned on October 19, 2017.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 5. Gerald, you vote?
I did vote, yes, sir. I made the motion. That's right. Yes, sir.
Item number 6, mayor and council announcements.
Can we start on that end? Jim?
You want to start?
Can we start on that end?
Keep up the good work.
I'll go ahead and go get this started. I had a lot going on this month. I want to shout out to Mr. Kenny Rollins, who took my call at 6:45 the other night and gave me Oni from the Main Street office's phone number, and she came to my rescue and got to the amp and flipped on some lights and got the cornhole tournament people going on. Had a lot of responses about that. Joel, Halloween, thank you very much for the Cedar Street stuff and Oak Mountain Golf. I've had a lot of people call me back about all of what y'all did there. As far as the fire department, y'all are always great, so we'll just leave it at that. And thank y'all very much for everything y'all do.
I just ditto everything the mayor said, and thank you to the fire department for everything y'all do. And if we've given you, if I have given you the impression that I'm not for y'all, it's my fault. I apologize. thank y'all for everything you're doing. And if I've given you that sort of impression, like I said, I'm sorry. But I need to be a better defender of y'all, and I will be, I promise.
All right, I concur with what Matt said. Also, I would like to say that I've been doing a lot of canvassing in West Carrollton. I think we had about 3,000 homes to visit, and it's been so neat meeting people face to face, and a lot of them have invited me to eat dinner with them and offered me food, and I appreciate that, and accepted me with open arms, and it's been so neat to meet all the people. Also, I'd like to praise Peter and his staff right now, and also the special education teachers of Carrollton City Schools. Is Peter still with us? He stepped out. Anybody from the rec department here? Julie's here. And I'd like to praise you all for Miss Sparkle on Saturday. It's a special needs pageant for girls with special needs. Joel, your daughter was there. She was crowned as Miss Sparkle last year, and we have new queens this year, or princesses. Mayor Hollingsworth was there along with me. He served as a judge. And again, Peter and his staff, everybody at the rec department and at Carrollton City Schools who supports that endeavor, and the public as well, I applaud all of you for making those children feel special. Also, to the residents of West Carrollton and also the citizens of this community, I'd like to personally thank you for my first annual Boo Bash over at Legends West. It was absolutely splendid. It felt like we were at Disneyland the other day. It was just wonderful to have everyone there and getting along at a very beautiful event. And I encourage all of you to stop through next year. A special thank you also goes out to the Border for feeding all the children tacos and Papa John's Pizza, and New Church for providing chili to all the kids. And St. Margaret's made sure every child who wanted to went home with a big pumpkin from the pumpkin patch. Also, Mike and Tim and everybody else involved in the demos, and Huck Smith and all the attorneys, Chuck, everybody, thank you for the arduous task of making sure that the dilapidated structures in West Carrollton and all over our city continue to come down in hopes of our new plans to replace those structures with a better Carrollton. And to everyone who volunteered in our community garden, the garden is looking great. I would just like to remind everyone not to break off the tops of the collard plants so they can continue to feed people for a long, long time. And my mama gets really mad when you do that. I would like to recognize Audrey North right now, who conducted the 11th annual drug walk to discourage people from taking drugs and to encourage them to lead long, healthy lives. The evening featured real-life testimonies from people who were once on drugs and are now trying to lead clean lives. We prayed, we sang. It was a beautiful, beautiful evening, so I thank you for that. Also, back to Peter and the rec department and anybody else who nominated me as Regional Volunteer of the Year. Thank you for that. I'm Regional Volunteer of the Year. Not only that, I'm also the State Volunteer of the Year as well, which I'm still blown over about. So praise God and thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, everybody. Tim?
To make it quick, we, due to the work of Faith Pullen and Tony Richardson, we received a grant from GMA, safety grant for some trench boxes. It'll help Mike Green's crews be safer. We also got that was $10,000. We got another $10,000 grant for our health fair. We appreciate that very much. I do want to mention on the demolition of these homes, that is a very complicated process. When the home has been abandoned for a long time, we can't find the owner. That can take months, and it can take months of advertising. And then there is asbestos to abate and utilities to disconnect. What should be simple takes a lot of months. When Mike actually rolls the track, go out there to knock it down, it only takes a couple of hours. But that is, everything's more complicated than it should be. And then I want to thank the police for their assistance with trick or treat on a lot of these streets. I heard a lot of compliments on streets that you closed and allowed trick or treaters to participate safely. So thank you for that.
Anyone else? I'm on item number 8, approval of agenda items for consideration. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a second. Everyone ready to vote, please raise your hand if you're in favor. Motion carries. Number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We spoke to you about the need for police cars back in January of this year. You have approved the order of, I believe, 6 so far. None have come in yet. They're due just any day, and they're going to trickle in, one here and one there. We've had some damaged in accidents, and again, a lot of them have very high mileage. We need to buy one more or place an order for one more of these vehicles. If you want more detail, Joel will give it, but the purchase price is $24,363.75 from the same vendor that won the state contract, and it is the Dodge Charger with all the electronics package. This is a much less expensive vehicle than we've been buying historically. They're very happy with the one that they have, and Joel has done what he committed to do, which is push the mileage on these cars a lot farther. We want them to have vehicles that don't fail, but we have pushed them beyond the 100,000 mile mark. So, Joel, I want to thank you publicly for doing that. But if you have any specific questions about this car, Joel will address it. Correct. Drug money will pay for it.
That's good.
So do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Have a second. Have a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Ms. Studdard, revision to the Main Street bylaws.
Thank you. You have in your packet the draft of the proposed Main Street bylaws. In September of 2014, the mayor and council voted to amend the Main Street program's bylaws by doing three things. They changed the process by which Main Street Board of Director members are appointed. They reduced the number of directors on the board. And then they also moved the fiduciary responsibilities of the Main Street program to the city. There were several unintended negative consequences that have arisen from these changes. And at this time, we would ask that you change back two of these things. The following. One, we would like to amend the Board of Director appointment process to allow the mayor and council to make appointments upon recommendation by the Board of Directors. This is the process that was followed from the board's inception, I think in the late 80s, if I'm correct. And it was also the process that was used up until 2014. And also, we would like to increase the number of board members from 5 to 7 to 7 to 9. We have 4 subcommittees that these board of directors serve on, and 5 to 7 is not enough to have 2 board members serve on each committee. At this time, we would ask that you revise these bylaws. You will see a recommendation in December for additional board members. Basically, we're going to go up. We'd like to go up 3 in January, and then we'd like to go up another 2 6 months later, so we don't get 5 new ones all at once.
And the council still makes recommendations, or we still make the selection of who is on the board, correct? And y'all bring the or they bring the recommendations.
Correct. It would go back to the way it was before September of 2014.
I remember that.
Any questions for Erica?
Erica, so when is the first appointment that that comes from us? Did you say December?
We have 3 board members that will rotate off in January, and so it would be December or January, probably December, that you guys could go ahead and make the appointment. Like I said, we'd like to wait 6 months, just so we don't have 5 new ones all at once, and then maybe ask for 2 more appointments.
Yeah. And these people are preferably shop owners or someone with a particular interest in downtown, correct?
Correct. Actually, in the bylaws, it states what they could be. Basically, it's going to be business professionals, downtown Carrollton Association members, downtown property owners, other business persons, heads of neighborhood organizations, recognized community leaders, local civic organizations, the arts community, the preservation or the historic society community, or other interested citizens. Realtors, that's another one that lenders, those are always good assets to have on the board. So it's really a mixture. It's not just downtown property owners or downtown business owners. We benefit from that.
Perfect.
Any more questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote.
I'll make a motion for the revisions to the Main Street bylaws.
I have a motion from Mr. Wojcik. I have a second. Have a second from Mr. Waters. Any more discussion now? Hearing none. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Tim, Fire Department audit recommendations implementation.
All right, I'll try to make this as quickly as I can. We are ready, if you agree, to purchase these SCBA masks, these breathing masks, bottle air mask, the washer and dryer, and the boots. That's a total cost of $60,000. We can find this in the budget without a budget amendment, or you can vote on it if you like. I just need some direction. If you want to let it pass and I'll go do it, that's fine. If you want to tell me not to do it, that's fine. If you want to vote to do it, so you positively voted, that's fine with me. The thing that I certainly would like to do is move forward with the promotions. They won't occur just due to the testing process that's involved. They won't occur until early next year, so you will only pay that 4 months out of 12 for the year, and it'll cost $44,000. There's enough overtime money in the budget to cover that, so you won't need a budget amendment. So I would like to go ahead with that process, and it'll take several months to get it in place. I think that's very important to these men, these firefighters, and it gives them an opportunity to advance. But I will tell you, we have already boarded up the door at Fire Station, is it 23, the one on Central School Road, so that fumes cannot not get in the bedroom. That's been done, and we've already ordered those lockers at a cost of $4,000. So we also have the quote from J. Smith Lanier on the state-mandated insurance. That's going to have to be bought. It's $11,000. What is still left open, and we don't have a recommendation yet, is the Nomex uniforms and the air study. You should have the information back on the air study in the next few days. So I basically, on these three purchases, I need some direction, and I need to know if you oppose implementing those promotions.
What is the fire chief's position on those, Tim?
I'll let him speak for himself, but he wants these promotions done. I want to say this about Jimmy Bearden. From the day I took this job in January of 16, nobody pushed harder to get his people money, especially his low-end folks. There's nobody that supports his employees more than Chief Bearden.
Thank you for saying that. And one of the things, Councilman Byrd, back in our budget retreat session, those are things that I did not ask for. I've always prided myself on being financially responsible to accomplish things in a frugal way, to invest our taxpayer dollars in a very sensible manner. The things that we're asking for, and I stated this a couple of months ago, we've been very blessed with equipment. We have some of the best equipment made. We have some of the greatest people there is working for us. All these extra things that we're asking for is enhanced safety measures. That's not to say that we have never not been safe or never had what we needed to work with. You could compare this with automobiles. You could drive a Toyota or you could drive a Cadillac. They're both going to get you there safely. One costs a lot more. It may have some extra airbags. Not meaning the Toyota's not safe. But, you know, this money we're talking about investing now is good. The washer and dryer we have needed. We've applied for grants in the past. But you're looking at cost and installation of probably $30,000 for a washer and dryer. There's money that could be invested somewhere else as a priority. But anyway, we're ready to move forward. One thing that I do feel like is very important is putting an officer on a ladder truck, because we have officers and drivers on every other apparatus that we have except for that one truck. That came about due to finances years ago, and we've never been able to correct that. And I think now is the perfect time to correct that. I think that's the best thing we can do to boost our morale back up. All of our guys have always been extremely happy to come to work. They get along well. They're happy. We've lost that in the past few months. We need to start to rebuild our fire department, to rebuild the trust between the firefighters. I think we can do that with y'all's support. So the creation of this new supervisor positions will go a long way in the healing process for us to make our already good department even better. And that would be my suggestion and the things that City Manager Grizzard mentioned. So we hope we get your support tonight for that.
I'd like to just say one. I'd like to say one thing. We up here approve purchases of large items and things like that. We set budget. We are looking at some smaller safety items to improve our fire department. We're looking at some promotions to fill in roles that have been needed. And I remember we sat down July, August, somewhere around there, to come up with a plan. We wanted to make sure that the experts in the area were the driver of figuring out how we move forward. What we don't need to be doing up here is figuring out what sort of boots our department, our employees are wearing. That's not what we need to be doing, and that's not a fault of yours. I think that's just the way the story's been written so far. What we need to do is we need to move forward. We need to make sure the fire department and our employees are safe. We need to make sure that they do have the equipment that they need, and let's move forward and make sure that we've put this to bed.
I appreciate you saying that. And I have been working with the city manager over the past month or 6 weeks. We can accomplish all the things that are suggested. We had to do some creative thinking with our budget. But I believe we can accomplish all this without a budget amendment. And then next year, to support the things we've done, we can do a small budget amendment. But I think we have everything figured out. We know what direction we need to move in. We just look forward to your support.
I would just tell you, philosophically, the kind of things we're talking about buying are what are bought in other departments. So I think you deserve those, and I think these men deserve those. If we were on limited funds, I would want to do the raises and promotions first. But I think we can afford all of it. And I think, Tony Richardson runs a volunteer fire department in Alabama, and he said they have the leather boots. If y'all want the leather boots, I want you to have them. The washer and dryer, if it makes your job easier, I want you to have it. It's a lot of money, but it's not an insurmountable amount of money. It is in line with the kind of things we do for the rec department, police department, or public works. And similarly, Tony expressed to me that they have their own mask in that little volunteer fire department. So I think you guys deserve that too. So unless you guys are opposed to that, unless you gentlemen up here oppose that, I would like to proceed with all of this, and we can afford that.
I'd like to make a motion then, if any more discussion going on, that we implement what we had agreed on back in last month's work session concerning this, and leave it up to Tim and Jimmy as the time frame of how this goes on.
Thank you.
Second.
Just to clarify, I want to understand, so is your motion to implement everything, all the recommendations that were made?
Yes.
Whether Jimmy or Tim think we need to do them or not? It's just.
At the time frame that Jimmy and Tim think that we can make it all.
Just in the time frame that they see.
So they see fit.
Really, all we need is your blessing. The finances and stuff, I think we've got worked out, so we don't need to increase our budget or ask for more money.
Well, then I'll change my motion and say this.
Bless us.
I'll give you a blessing and moving forward.
Thank you.
I want to give you one more bit of information. I think this is important. We actually had some young firefighters when Faith interviewed them, and I don't know their names and I don't want to know. We had them basically say disparaging marks about ISO ratings. How you could do that, I don't know, because that's how I pay insurance on my house, is that rating. It's extremely important, and it is a coveted thing to have, and I want to give you the neighboring counties' ISO ratings. And keep in mind, Carrollton is a 1. Douglas County is a 4. Harrison County is a 4. Heard County is a 5. Coweta is a 4. Carroll County is a 3. And the city of Newnan is a 2. Those are excellent fire departments, but they don't hold a candle to this one. So we need to feel very, very good about the rating this fire department holds. And it is, sometimes I think we are victims of our own success. You guys are so good that you are taken for granted. And I think that applies also to the police department and the water department and the rec department. So I just want to thank you personally for the job you do.
So I got a motion.
I'm going to second it just so I can have some clarification. So I have on page 19 of our minutes from October 19th, and I'm just doing this for purposes of the minutes, when we make minutes for this meeting. I'm looking at total cost for immediate recommendation, the SCBA mask, $18,000, wash and dryer, $30,000, boots, $22,000, pay and job increases, $65,000. Mr. Mayor, is that what you're referring to? We're authorizing Tim to use those monies, or you're saying, I'm just trying to figure out what we're voting on. Is that right, Tim? Are those not, or there's even bigger numbers than that?
What I heard you say is go do what you need to do and keep it in budget. That's what I heard.
Okay.
In simple terms.
Which means you stay within the fire department budget?
Yes, sir.
We're not amending the budget?
No, sir.
Okay. And we have enough money in the fire department budget?
Yes, sir.
To accomplish all these recommendations?
We do, yes.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, that's, I already seconded.
So I had a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. Ms. Studdard, one more time. Irrevocable encroachment license for 108 Adamson Square.
You have in your packet a revocable license agreement for 108 Adamson Square, which is the former Max and Henry's restaurant. This particular encroachment license would be to install a cantilever deck. It's actually on the roof of this particular structure. This structure is shorter than most of the structures. Actually, let me put a picture up in that quadrant. And they are going to drop down the roof a little bit and then put a cantilevered roof, 6 foot 6 inches. This is not a new thing that the city has allowed. Plates currently has one, and so does Irish Bread. However, this one will not have the support structures. It's actually designed to be self-supported without the post. I did actually take measurements for your guys' own benefit to show you. The one concern I had was the tree. I do not have that concern. I looked at it. It doesn't look like the tree will be impacted at all that's in that quadrant. If you can see my measuring tape, that's 6 foot 6 inches. This particular, like I said, this particular encroachment would be for a rooftop deck for a restaurant, an Asian-themed restaurant. The contractor is here, as is the restaurant owner, if you have any questions about that. And we would ask that you approve this. And if you have questions, they can certainly answer.
The awnings that are near there, are they roughly about 6 feet out too? Because I'm picturing this thing as just being an awning that you can, above what people on the roof can stand on. Is that really what it is? Is no post, just an awning?
Correct.
It's
sort of like a flat, kind of a flat awning like you see at Irish Bread or Plates. However, they won't have post.
Okay. So
And the contractor's here that can speak in structural terms if you would like.
Yeah, I'm more just thinking in terms of you're walking into that restaurant, you're going to be able to get out of the rain under that awning.
Yes, absolutely.
And if there's no rain, you can go hang out up there and have lunch.
Correct. Yes, sir.
How are the adjacent landowners? Are they fine with the project?
I've heard from one gentleman in the Southwire actually owns the green structure.
Right.
I think they've spoken with the is it Ben Pascal? Greg. They've spoken with Ben, which runs their facility. I'm not exactly sure what his title is about the project. And then the adjacent property owner, and he can speak to that more. I haven't heard from the other property owner, but they may have spoken to both. I'm not real sure. I think Richard Dement owns the other building.
Okay, I'd gotten wind that one of the adjacent landowners raised some objections to it.
That was actually an employee for that adjacent landowner, I believe.
Any more questions? Any more discussion?
I like the idea of an improvement on the square, more people entering into those buildings. I don't think there's any other vacancies on the square, is there?
We actually have our new Main Street director, Andy Leslie, here. Let me ask her.
Max and Henry's. Oh, okay.
No.
It's great to see it filled with new restaurant. And exciting to hear. What sort of place is it? What sort of Asian food? So we can get pho in Carrollton now?
And you pronounced it correctly, so they'll let you eat there.
Any more discussion? Jerry, you got anything you want to say?
I like it. I think it's fun. And I wish more people would eat on the rooftop. It's magical. And let me say this too. I've gotten lots of calls from people from other cities who visit here. They always say, y'all need to open these rooftops. So I think this will be a neat little trend and a catalyst for more change on the square. So thank you.
One thing to note, that the approval is really for the encroachment. We don't have any prohibition against rooftop decks currently, so other folks could do it. It's really for that sidewalk encroachment because they're basically encroaching into our property.
Okay, gotcha.
Essentially. So we certainly, you may see roof decks pop up without your approval because they are certainly allowed currently.
It's fun.
If they can meet structural requirements.
Neat.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion we accept?
I make a motion we accept.
I have a motion from Mr. Wojcik. I have a second. I have a second from Councilman Waters. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. At that time, this concludes this meeting of the council, November the 6th, 2017.